Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Happier Life podcast. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. After deciding survival wasn't enough, I set out on a path to live my best life. I wanted to thrive. Now I'm on a mission to support others. Think you're not good enough, confident enough, brave enough? I'm here to tell you you are, and you can achieve anything. This is your time, so let's do this. Hello and welcome to the Happier Life podcast, where we talk about life beyond survival. Because let's be real, you're not here because you just want to get through life. I'm Clare Deacon, your host, positive psychology coach and therapist, and the person who will never tell you to shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. Now, let's get into today's episode, because today we're going to be tackling something a little different that it's quite often many of us feel this way, but we rarely talk about it out loud. So this is all about why we feel guilty for being happy. So this might be a situation where perhaps you've been through a tough time, you've experienced grief, heartbreak, loss, or just a season where life has just really felt heavy and you've had a number of challenges to overcome. And then one day, eventually, you catch yourself laughing, actually laughing. And instead of joy, what hits you is feelings of guilt. Like, how can I feel this way when things have been so hard? Or maybe your life is finally going well. You've worked really hard to get where you are, but instead of really being able to enjoy it, you'd start second guessing yourself. Do I really deserve this? What if something else goes wrong? What about the people who aren't as lucky as me? Let's not sugarcoat it. Happiness, guilt is real. It's something I've experienced for myself after the loss of my husband. So imagine how difficult, and it took time to get used to the fact that I can actually say, I'm happier now than I ever have been in my life. That's kind of a bitter pill to swallow, because some people may take that the wrong way. My business is called Happya, and yet doesn't dismiss the loss that I have experienced. So when you feel like moving forward means forgetting, it can show up. When you've worked for success, but worry you don't actually deserve it, it can creep in when others around you are struggling and you feel selfish for feeling okay. And then there's the fear that if you do let yourself be happy, the universe is just waiting to snatch it away. And I know so many of us have felt that way. So today we're going to be unpacking where this guilt comes from, why it's wired into our brains, and most importantly, how to let it go. Because happiness is not a reward, and you don't have to earn it. And if you find yourself thinking, I need more help with this, then I've got you. So book a chat with me at happiercoach.com/chat. Or if talking feels like too much right now, then just drop me an email. All the details are in the show notes. So, okay, let's get started. Take that deep breath and let's really get into it. So, why do we feel guilty for being happy? So, happiness, guilt, isn't just a fluke, it's actually hardwired into us. Your brain is a prediction machine, constantly scanning for danger, seeking social belonging and acceptance. It's also trying to make sense of the world. And sometimes that means throwing up an unexpected roadblock when joy comes knocking on your door. So, happiness guilt actually happens when your nervous system, trained through those past experiences and those cultural, environmental messages, and even just general evolution, signals that feeling good is somehow wrong or unsafe. So, let's break it down with a few reasons why that happens. Number one, you may have heard of this, but survivor's guilt. If I move forward, am I leaving others behind? If you've been through pain, part of you might believe that feeling joy means dishonoring what happened, that moving forward means forgetting. This is especially strong around people struggling. This, it's kind of a psychological equivalent of making it onto a life raft and looking back at those still left in the water. You might feel like you don't deserve that safety until everyone is safe. But here's the thing, your suffering doesn't serve anyone else who is experiencing a challenging situation. And your happiness doesn't erase what happened, it honors your survival. It can even serve as a quiet beacon of hope to others, a sign that healing is possible, that there can be change, and that there is an alternative. This is something I've seen a lot with those who have lost loved ones, especially people who have been widowed. I've heard why them and not me whispered more times than I can count. I felt it myself at times. And yet, what I've come to realize is that life really is a privilege. And when we recognize that, we take a little more care of it. Rather than allowing guilt to take over, I made the choice to honor my husband's legacy, not through sadness, but through joy. By taking actions I've taken, by the choices I've made for myself and for our children, his legacy is not a broken family. His legacy is happiness. That's what it's about. It's not a disregard of the sadness of the loss we've experienced, but it's about bringing joy and happiness to honor what we had. So, the key takeaway, instead of seeing your happiness as a betrayal, try asking yourself, how can I honor what I've been through by allowing myself to live fully? So, the second type of guilt we can feel is that fear of losing it. So, what if this doesn't last? If you've experienced trauma or loss, unexpected change, something that has impacted on your physiological, psychological well-being, your brain will have learned to be hyper vigilant. It's like that smoke alarm that goes off even when you're just making toast. So, when something good happens, instead of being sitting in comfort and soaking it in, you actually brace impact. You wait for the other shoe to drop. You tell yourself not to get too comfortable because what if this is all taken away? I've been there. After my husband died, I had that exact thought. What's the point? I thought I'd left my childhood trauma behind, but life had other plans. And when I was faced with picking up the pieces, a voice in my head whispered, why work so damn hard when it could all be taken away again? For a long time, I let that fear steal my joy or possibility of finding joy. Then I made a decision, and it's one I hold on to even now. I decided that survival wasn't enough. A key part of Happya, and you will see it across everything that I produce, not for me and not for my children. Being in a state of survival, of holding on, of staying in a place of fear was not enough. If we were going to have to endure life's challenges, which we all do, we cannot avoid them, then we were also going to embrace life with everything that we had. And that meant making space for joy, even if it scared me. Because here's the truth: happiness isn't a trap, it's not a trick. And allowing yourself to feel it doesn't mean you won't be strong enough to handle the hard times. So, when you notice yourself holding back from joy because you're afraid of losing it, pause. Instead of, what if this doesn't last? Try asking, what if this moment is worth enjoying no matter what happens next? Okay. So, the third type we can experience is that comparison and scarcity mindset. If I have more, does someone else have less? Maybe you were raised with the idea that happiness is a limited resource, that if you succeed, someone else fails, that if you thrive, you're being unfair to those who are struggling. This belief can creep in with success guilt, especially if you've broken patterns that others around you haven't. But happiness isn't some kind of pie. Your joy doesn't take from anyone else. In fact, positive psychology shows that happiness is actually contagious. Your joy can be the invitation for others to find theirs. Now, for me, this started in childhood. I went to a private school, but my family weren't wealthy. It was a choice my parents made because they wanted us to have what they saw as being the best start in life. And while I'm not here to debate that choice, what I will say is that I spent a lot of time feeling like I didn't belong there. Sometimes it was in the material things, what others had and I didn't. Other times it was in the unkind words that made it clear I wasn't one of them. Even now, I remember those words and how irrelevant they made me feel. But here's the thing: that was never about me. It was never about what I lacked. It was about what they lacked in understanding. And the lesson I took away from it: I don't value people by their bank balance. I value them for what they bring to the world. I had a friend who never had much money, but whenever I showed up at her door, lost in those difficult years of growing up, she made me a cup of tea and gave me her time. She saw me, and that meant more than anything money could ever have bought. And yet, because of this, I've spent a lifetime downplaying my own successes. I never wanted anyone else to feel less than because I had more than. But here's what I'm learning: dimming your own light doesn't make the world brighter. Your happiness doesn't make anyone else less worthy. Instead of seeing success as something to hide, try seeing it as something that gives other people permission to do the same. So, the fourth reason why we can feel that guilt is around cultural and family conditioning. It's not safe to shine. Some of us will have grown up in environments where joy wasn't celebrated. Maybe people around you played small, dimmed their light, or saw happiness as something to be earned rather than experienced freely. Maybe you were taught that happiness is fleeting, so you don't get too comfortable, don't get too loud about it, and don't make a fuss. If that's the case, feeling good might come with a side of unease, like wearing shoes that don't quite fit. You feel the urge to shrink yourself, to downplay the wins, to make sure nobody else feels uncomfortable because of your happiness and your success. I once knew someone whose family never celebrated achievements, not because they weren't proud, but because they were terrified of jinxing it. When she got accepted into university, her family barely acknowledged it. Don't get your hopes up, anything could happen. When she landed her dream job, let's see if it works out first. When she fell in love, be careful, these things don't last. She learned that joy wasn't something to lean into, it was something to fear, a fragile thing that could disappear at any moment. And that, if you got too happy, life would find a way to balance the scales. It took her years to unlearn the belief that happiness needed to be small, cautious, and temporary. That she could trust good things without bracing for the worst. That she didn't need to play down her joy to protect herself or others. And maybe that's you too. Maybe you were raised to believe that celebrating your happiness was dangerous, that being too proud meant inviting disaster, that feeling good for too long would only make the fall hurt more. But let me remind you, joy is not the threat. It is not something you have to deserve or ration or apologize for. Happiness is not an accident and it's not selfish. It is a fundamental part of being alive. So if joy feels unsafe, instead of asking, do I deserve this? Try asking, what if I let myself enjoy this moment without guilt? So, how do you release the happiness guilt? Step one, recognize the pattern. Happiness guilt is really sneaky. It doesn't always show up as an obvious, I shouldn't feel this way. Sometimes it's more subtle. You downplay your wins. It's not a big deal. You feel uneasy after a good day, waiting for the other shoe to drop. You catch yourself holding back joy in conversations just in case someone else is struggling. But here's the thing, you can't change a pattern you don't see. So next time you feel a flicker of joy, pause. Notice what happens in your mind and body. Then ask, am I letting myself fully feel this? Is there a part of me that feels guilt for feeling good? Where did I learn that happiness needs to be earned? Just noticing these thoughts weakens their grip. Awareness is the first step to rewiring your brain. Step two, separate the feelings of guilt from reality. Let's be clear, guilt is a feeling, not a fact. Just because your brain flags something as being wrong doesn't actually mean it is. Your nervous system might be trained to associate joy with danger or loss or unfairness, but that's just old wiring. And the good news, we know that wiring can change. So next time guilt creeps in, remind yourself, my happiness does not harm anyone. I can be happy and still care deeply about others. I don't need permission to feel joy. At first, these things might feel unnatural, and that's okay. Your nervous system might need to catch up. But every time you gently redirect these thoughts, you are actually retraining your brain to see joy as being safe. So, step 3. This is where we rewire the story. If guilt is just a learned response, then we can unlearn it. And that starts by consciously rewriting the script. Instead of, I shouldn't feel this way, try, I deserve to feel joy and I allow myself to enjoy it. Happiness is selfish. My joy does not take away from others, it invites them in. What if this doesn't last? Replace it with, I can be present in joy without fearing the future. And here's the sciencey bit for you. Neuroscience shows that repetition rewires the brain. This isn't about forcing yourself to believe something overnight. It's about planting a new thought over and over until one day it feels natural. Step 4, own your happiness now. Here's where we take it to the next level. Joy is not something you have to tiptoe around. It is not something you need to justify, apologize for, or shrink to make others feel comfortable. But let's be real. Owning happiness is a practice. It means letting yourself celebrate your wins, sharing your joy without downplaying it, trusting that good things can happen to you without guilt or fear. And maybe most importantly, it means allowing yourself to feel joy fully without waiting for it to disappear. So, next time happiness shows up, instead of shrinking from it, step into it. Because joy is not something you deserve, it's something you are already worthy of. Happiness guilt is learned. And if we can learn it, we can unlearn it. It takes time. Every moment of joy you allow yourself is a step towards rewriting that story. So, what's one small way you can practice owning your happiness today? Think about it. Let me know. Drop me a comment. So, finally, happiness after struggle isn't betrayal, it's resilience, it's healing, it's proof that you are still here, still capable of joy, still worthy of good things, not because you've earned it, but because it was always yours to claim. And I know it's not easy to just flip a switch and feel differently. If happiness guilt has been your default, it's going to take time to unlearn it. But every time you choose joy, even for a moment, you are rewiring your brain to believe in a different possibility. So here's my challenge for you this week. Give yourself permission to feel joy without guilt. Let yourself smile without questioning it. Laugh at something ridiculous without hesitation. Celebrate something, even if it is something small, even if no one else sees it. And when guilt tries to creep in, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, I don't have to earn this. I'm allowed to be happy. If this is something you want to go deeper into, let's talk. Book a chat with me at happyacoach.com/chat, or send me an email, claire@happyacoach.com. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Joy is not a luxury, it's part of being alive. Thank you and take care. If you've enjoyed this episode, ensure you hit subscribe, head on over to my website happyacoach.com, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and let me support you in living a happier life. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. Thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day.